Hi, I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? MMAzing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. I am your host, Dr. Law. With me, as always, DJ Mark.
What's up?
Also joining us this week, Lavender Gooms.
You got a real smooth jazz thing going on with your voice right now, Bob. So what's up with that?
Slow talking.
I mean, you guys know how fast I talk, so I figure if I start farther slow, by the time it ramps up, we'll still be understandable. I got fucking cousins that come and visit from Iran thinking they know English, and then they talk to me and they're like, this guy talks too fucking fast. Too fast. All right, boys and girls. I'm not sure we actually ever fully addressed this, but going forward, you guys are going to hear the three of us. Hopefully every week. Stefan has taken a step back. I don't remember, honestly, if we talked about this on the show. I don't think we did, ever.
We didn't really address it.
Yeah.
I think we tiptoed around it. Yeah. But he's taking a hiatus.
Stefan's taking a hiatus.
Welcome back.
Yeah, Stefan is still 1/4 of this company that isn't really a company. But he is. It's a quarter his. So whenever he wants to come back and come back. He is no longer in the picks this year. So the options are to just make him last place. Or Mark and I spend the next 4 months makes 3.5 months making sure Mike is last place. And I'm leaning towards that option.
I think I like the option of keeping, since he is always going to be a part of this podcast, and he, as you say, he is a fourth of it, then we need to keep his ass in fourth.
Okay.
We could give him the percentage. What's his percentage right now?
No, that's not how this works.
Do it by win.
Yeah, what if we all start eating it? Come on now.
Well, that would be sad. If
we all start eating it.
Last half year.
All right, boys and girls. Mark's convinced himself we need to talk about this Anthony Smith fight. I mean,
I said I should watch it because it was 2 minutes long. I couldn't find it on ESPN Plus quick enough. So
yeah, that happened. Anthony Smith went out there and took care of Ryan Spawn, is it?
Spawn? I didn't watch. So I didn't get to hear their take on it. I'm guessing Span.
I think it's Span. I guess Anthony didn't appreciate some of the comments that Ryan had made before the fight and decided to whoop that ass real quick. We are going to mention, I don't think anybody saw it here. Phil Davis and Yoel Romero. Actually, Mike did.
Saw 3 minutes of highlights.
Mike was watching it, weren't you? When we were talking?
I was.
We were playing Uno?
Yeah, I did. It wasn't entirely entertaining.
Yeah, Yoel did a lot of nothing, is my understanding. And then Jaron Vallel, who, in addition to being a bad MMA referee, is a bad MMA judge, where he managed to give a round to Yoel, and everybody just kind of looked like, the fuck's going on there?
It was a split, right? Someone gave him more than a round.
No, he gave him 2 rounds, actually. You're right.
Yeah.
I saw it was 30-27, 30-26, 28-29. So, yeah. We also, Rumble Johnson had to back out of his fight with Nemkov, I believe. He was about to fight Nemkov, I think, in the tournament next, I believe.
That was a tournament fight, yeah.
And he's sick. It's not the COVID, but he does say that it was really difficult on him. I think Rumble actually has some problems internally from the years of bad weight cuts. I remember he had a couple issues beforehand. So, I mean, this is at light heavyweight, so maybe he can't do that. But seems like an opportunity here, Mark, for them to just book this fight again, though. Let's just do it.
Oh, Romero? Have Romero in
Rumble?
I mean, from my basic understanding, Romero didn't look that hot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but let's just do this. Before all the steam is gone.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of just if that dude wanted to get on his horse and ride on out to the sunset, he's 44 years old.
I don't.
Okay.
I didn't like this first matchup for him. Phil Davis for Romero, because nobody in history has looked good fighting Phil Davis except maybe Rumble Johnson.
Vader beating. How was that?
It was shitty. It was terrible.
Okay. All right.
Phil Davis is very difficult to look good against, honestly. And this is not like, I'm not even an insult to the man. It's just,
I think it was, I mean, we're not going to get into it too much, but I thought it was interesting that he struggled in the wrestling, aspect. And I think that's part of, seeing Romero at 185, where he wasn't really fighting against a lot of wrestlers. I think he just nullified anyone even attempting to do that. So him going up to 205, a much heavier weight class, and fighting someone like Phil Davis, who's a very accomplished wrestler. But I mean, I think their credentials, right, Bobby? Like Romero, credential-wise, it should be the much better.
Yeah, Romero's
wrestler,
also 44 years old.
Yeah, given youth, given size, it
Phil's huge.
to his advantage. Yeah, Phil's really big. He's a big, lengthy, light heavyweight. Seemed like he could easily be heavyweight if he wanted to. But
did Phil win the NCAA championship?
I'm not sure.
No? I know he beat Chris Weidman actually in the tournament when they were both seniors. That was the thing that happened. Yeah, I don't know. The thing that's interesting too is who's going to step in for Rumble, because I'm pretty sure Nemkov beat Phil Davis in the first round.
Yeah, so it kind of makes it a weird.
And I
don't know if they really had an official reserve fighter.
Honestly, he's the fucking champion. Let him go to the finals. Let's just let him go to the finals.
Probably shouldn't get a bye, but it is if the only option is to roll.
Well, I don't know I don't know who's in 205 who didn't put it. I mean, they have a decent 205-pound division, but I mean, they put 8 guys in this fucking tournament. Liam, what's Liam up to?
Not even him. It was a different one. Was it Linton something or other?
Oh, Linton Vassell?
Yeah.
Isn't he? Is he a 205er?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Bellator guy will figure it out. We didn't go to this though. This event, even though it's being in our backyard.
I'm kind of happy we did.
I'm sure if we sat there, we would have seen a Diaz brother walking around. Some of American Kickboxing Academy.
Nick's got a fight coming up. I don't know if he's making the rounds.
The other one, but Nate.
Okay, maybe.
But anyway, yeah. Fuck it. Let's just talk about some news here.
Sure. Things
we've seen so far today that are kind of interesting. Well, this week is that a little ONE FC news, which I know we don't get into that often, but Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson is going to do a mixed rules fight against a bit of a kickboxing legend, right, Marcus?
Mm-hmm. You didn't pull it up because I have his name here, but I'm about to butcher this.
Go with his name. It's fine.
Rontong Mitamuangana. The last name is really what falls over for me.
In the meantime,
I'm not as proficient in the rounds of Muay Thai and who this guy is and what his accolades are. But like you said, Bobby, people seem excited. He seems to be a big deal, so he must be fairly deadly.
I don't like these fucking things. I get why they do them. I mean, we end up with great moments like Aoki getting knocked out.
I was going to say that
objectively hilarious. So the first round of this fight, Mike, is going to be mixed martial arts. It's going to be kickboxing. Second round is mixed martial arts. Third round, kickboxing. Fourth round, mixed martial arts. Don't know why it's fucking 4 rounds.
Well, it's very simple why it's 4 rounds. It's 4 rounds because so that way no one has an undue advantage.
I mean, cool. I mean, Mighty Mouse is one of the smarter fighters. Well, go ahead, Mark. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what's interesting is that, unbeknownst to maybe some of our listeners, because it's not super, well known or talked about, ONE FC does a lot of kickboxing matches, in the cage. And I don't know, Bobby, do they wear boxing gloves or do they wear the MMA gloves? Because I kind of think they might wear the MMA gloves and just have kickboxing rules.
Do they? Because I know that was actually a thing that what's his name was trying to invent in Australia.
I only think it's that because I know I've seen it a couple of the fights, but I think I remember Misha talking because she used to be the VP or whatever her position was, and she said a lot of people didn't really know that we do these we have these fantastic Muay Thai fighters and kickboxers, and I almost positive she said and it's even more exciting because they use the small ounce gloves, which I would assume they would use in this too because. I mean, what are you going to grapple with, Muay Thai mitts on? How are you going to get a hold of anybody or, be able to grab someone's, wrist to, have control and do submissions and stuff like that. So it's interesting, I
mean, this gets to the second round. This guy's fucked completely.
You would think so. I mean, that's what Aoki thought, right? He's I can just flop around for the first round and hopefully.
Well, it depends if they got, if they're going to have grounded. I mean, I'm not sure. Grounded strikes, I guess, they're going to have to the head. Because that's what they do in ONE FC.
In the kickboxing rounds?
No, in the second round, in the MMA round.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it gives the guy a better chance.
But I mean, talking about the Aoki fight, I mean, what he kind of was it Aoki? Yeah, I think it was. I mean,
that's what made it funnier because it was Aoki.
What he famously did, which was, I mean, honestly, kind of smart. It blew up in his face. But in the first round, he would just, throw drop kicks and cartwheel kicks and basically just do anything to flop on the floor and then take time off the clock, getting back up slowly and just wheedling away that 3 minutes until it was finally his turn to do the MMA portion, and historically got knocked out instantly, karma. But I mean, if Demetrius Johnson is looking for some strategy, I mean, if he's not doing well, going for like a somersault kick and then slowly getting back up after you fail your technique is maybe not the worst way to kill some time and try to get to those later rounds. And it'll be interesting to see, if he does make it into the second round and he has the whole MMA rule set to his, is he going to be able to really utilize those and win the fight that way? It's an interesting matchup.
I love Muay Thai. This guy's 24 years old. He has 267 wins.
I mean, a couple times a week.
They just throw down, man. We got to go to Thailand.
How is that physically possible?
CTE is not a thing in Thailand. Or we don't care. It's a lot of getting hit.
Yeah.
But there's it's a weird thing where I guess in certain rounds they kind of take them off, both of them, and
the first round is historically a feeling out round where neither guy really does a whole lot, and I think the second and third, and that's why some really proficient Muay Thai fighters have struggled in more fundamental kickboxing, like K1. A lot of the guys coming into K1 Max and stuff, they're used to taking that first round off, and
they're immediately getting
in Max
cracked.
They go hard instantly. So I think a lot of them have adjusted to that type of kind of mindset where it's like, we're gonna just kind of throw some front kicks and just see how you react and try to get a read on what you're used to in the second and third round and really turn it up. Obviously in this fight he's gonna have to go out of the gate. He's probably gonna want to get DJ out of there as quickly as possible. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't hate these weird mix rules. It's kind of weird, but it's it's fun.
We're talking about ONE FC.
They need to mix it up.
We're talking about ONE FC, so it doesn't hurt. After that, I mean, those cards, Mike, you and I tried when they were on TNT. It went as bad as possible, honestly.
Did they just give up on ONE FC on TNT?
Well, I think they were on Bleacher Report the whole time, because I think TNT owns Bleacher Report, which, okay. But I think that's where it was on because I don't think they were, I mean, they're putting them on in a really good time. Dynamite is on fire.
It seemed like they had a plan. Yeah. And it wasn't like we're going to have sustained cards for the next year. Every month we're going to have one big card. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. It's like we have 4 cards lined up for these upcoming 4 weeks. We're putting all of the big American assets that we recently got on there to try to, boost our fan base. And like you said, it didn't seem like the production side was ready for it. The fights didn't really deliver what we were expecting. The results, I think, wasn't really what maybe they were hoping for. A lot of the big famous, or more well-known MMA, American MMA fighters did end up losing, which, I mean, one way you look at it is that kind of grows your own stars. It kind of shows this guy used to be, Mighty Mouse used to be legitimately, the best featherweight, right? I don't remember what his flyweight that the UFC ever had, and he just got demolished. And you look at what they do with weight classes, he was kind of fighting a weight class above. There's lots of little caveats or whatever you can put in there, but it kind of let them shine their own stars. But I don't know how well that translates to a US audience, which is okay, the one guy I knew in your roster that I cared about just lost, so do I have anything to care about? I don't know.
I think that this is just a side note. The thing MMA promotions need to stop doing is just giving me some old ass UFC fighter sitting at the commentary desk, throwing it to the desk for me to hear from Randy Couture or fucking Rich Franklin, or only Rich works there. I get it.
Yeah.
But nobody cares about these fucking people anymore. Sorry. Just they don't.
Yeah, they're trying to appeal to a fan base that I don't really know is even.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last week, right? We're fishing for that era of MMA. We had Tito versus Anderson Silva, which this is my reminder that everybody go back and watch that, please. Before I go talk about Mighty Mouse again, the guy running ONE FC said that there was inaccuracies to the Bloody Elbow report about how they are not making money and they're full of shit about every financial they said, but he did not point to any specific thing being false at any point. So
it's all true is what I'm
probably hearing. Demetrius Johnson also just earlier today gave a shout out to Joseph Benavidez, called him a legend because Joseph Benavidez retired this week. Joseph retired, and Carlos Condit retired. Honestly, Mark, we can't really say enough good things about both of these guys. They did everything you could ask for. I mean, Carlos won the interim title, but, didn't win the actual title. And and Benavidez got close so many times. Two guys who really we could always depend on to come through for a good fight. I don't think Benavidez had the finishing rate Carlos Condit did. Probably nobody does. Really. Man's got 28 finishes and 32 wins. It's insane. But two guys who did it a long time, came from the WEC, both of them, made their names in the UFC, and we're going to miss guys like this, I think. What do you think, Marcus?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they both, really put their time in the sport. I mean, you can even go further back. I think the first time Carlos Condit really got on my radar, I think it was Rumble on the Rocks. They had a huge middleweight tournament. Anderson Silva was there, Yushin Okami, a bunch of other guys, former UFC guys were in there, and he won that tournament. I mean, historically, Anderson had to bow out because I think Yushin hit him with an illegal up kick. But it was a huge tournament.
No, Anderson hit Yushin with the illegal up kick.
Up kick? Okay. Somebody hit somebody with an illegal up kick. So I think, they didn't quite have to, that part of the bracket kind of fell apart. But it was a huge, that was the first time he really got on my radar because that was a big tournament that he won. And then WEC, he had a lot of great performances. And, I think in the last couple of years, we definitely seen him wane a little bit. I think, didn't he win his last fight, but he lost his last 4 or 5 before that.
Carlos lost his last one, but he'd had 2 in a row where we're like, Carlos kind of looks like Carlos. Like he looked pretty sharp in him, but
he was resurging a little bit. And then Benavidez, it's really tough to be in a position where that guy is, where he's kind of always the next best after whoever's holding the belt. He got a lot of shots at the belt and just couldn't make it happen, which is really unfortunate. And I think he kind of just knew it wasn't going to happen again. He had his one last shot at the belt, and when it kind of fell through, I think he even said that he kind of knew he was done for a while and just didn't announce it until everything was put in place. But yeah, two guys that will be missed, but it's good to know when to hang it up. And it's good that you make that call instead of your family making that call or the physicians making that call or the athletic commission making that call. Better to go out on your terms than, because your body just can't do it. So, hopefully they pivot into other things. I don't really know what either of them is going to do next, but I think there's a lot of avenues.
Joseph's going to help raise that adorable dog he has with his wife.
Okay, well, I got 2 dogs. That's not enough, Bob.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit more than that.
Joseph,
once you're potty trained, you're kind of done.
I want to thank Joseph, by the way, because he is on the intro of this podcast. So I don't know if we have anybody active anymore.
Active fighters
I was going to say, Misha's the only one.
Thank you,
Is
Misha.
Caraway retired?
He should be.
I think Caraway's in jail.
I don't think he went to jail. But something I read when he first did it. Luna, stop it. Sorry, my dog is making noises. She's staring at the mirror, staring herself down. Joseph put out a little poem he wrote after he lost to DJ the second time. And it's real short. I'm going to read it again here because it stuck with me always. I thought it really showed how much of a well thought out, I'm a thoughtful person he was. And not just, we all had a lot of fun with Jiu-Jitsu and my favorite nickname, Joe Kozuna or Joe B1 Kenobi. All great. But here it is. Blood and sweat, sometimes tears, battered hands, countless fears, highest highs, lowest lows, shattered dreams, the hurt just grows. Your smile shields the pain you hide, all the while you're dead inside. Your faith is absent, your will gives out. Now clear your mind, erase the doubt. Everything you have, you gave to feel self-worth. That's all you crave. The world's a stage. This is your role. You break your heart, you sell your soul. Stay the course, endure the pain. You were born to entertain. So, just talking about. So
that was good.
It was. I was like Joseph, and thankful that he's on this podcast intro. And Carlos Condit. I know we all got salty with that Nick Diaz fight, folks. I know we were all salty.
We throwing spinning shit now.
I mean, I'm just saying the man had one boring fight, and if he fought the other way, he may not have won. Quite frankly. If he fought his normal way, he may not have won. Did what he had to do to get the interim title and get a big fight against GSP. And hell, we still got Nick versus GSP ultimately. So, it is what it is. And Carlos responded to us on Twitter too. So I like both of them. Very nice guys.
Friends of the pod.
Exactly. Definitely friends of the pod. Joseph actually responded a bunch of times on Twitter to us. Good man.
Really?
He read one of our articles. Actually,
Well,
because I talked about how
expect anyone to do that.
Yeah, he read one of our articles back when there was written content on our website.
We used to do that. Yeah.
Was it one of mine?
I think it might have been me. I think it was me. I think it was the one about how there was a time where like all of Team Alpha Male had a chance to win a championship within like 2 months of each other. And then
Okay.
and then like I wrote it, and then I missed one of them, and he said, "Oh, you forgot so and so in and Lance Palmer in World Series of Fighting." So then I updated it, and he said thank you. Anyway, other piece of news: Michael Chandler isn't an anti-vaxxer.
No,
he just thinks America is so great that he doesn't have to get the vaccine.
Doesn't. Who was arguing him with that?
The people. Do you think these people who talk about American freedom are aware that like there's like 112 countries with freedom or something like that? There's a lot of free countries.
Not as free as this.
I don't know, man. It sounds like he gave a classic non-answer or sidestep. Okay,
100%.
Yeah,
that's like that's like the dude. That's like the dude who picks up the girl that says, "No, I'm not anti-condom. I just love unprotected sex." Like you're saying the same thing.
Exactly. Fair enough. Yeah. Fuck him.
I mean, give context. He basically he moved the goalpost a few times, right? Because he's getting this fight with Justin Gaethje. We're worried it's going to be in New York. You got to be vaccinated, and then he
it turns out you don't.
Well, he pulls the line. Look, I'm not anti-vax. I just need federal government approval on this drug before I put it in my body. That's all he's asking for. And then once it got that, he's like, well, look, I got to do some research now. I got to figure out what's going on.
They're all doing research. He doesn't want the swollen nutsack. Like,
no, I know. You hear one story. And you're like,
Dr. Chandler here about to do medical research and blind double blind placebo test.
Man, that fucking story about Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend. Dude cheated on his fiance, got gonorrhea, and it became a worldwide headline.
Is that what gonorrhea gives you? Gonorrhea gives you swollen nuts?
I think so. I don't know. I've never had the misfortune.
I just thought it gave you a medical marijuana card, and that was
thought it was burning when you pee that gonorrhea gives you.
Well, I mean, if your nuts are swollen, it might make it pee and make you burn. I don't know. We're not doctors. And finally, Triller says they're planning on announcing or negotiating Vitor versus Oscar De La Hoya. Sorry, calling it the Revenge. Going to be on Thanksgiving week because Oscar is gonna get revenge for Evander Holyfield. These guys got to be stopped. We talked about it last week, and I can't do as much justice as Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas do about how fucking much of a clown shoes operation this Triller shit is. But they got to go.
I didn't know they had musical guests. I thought that was a failed experiment. And they're like, okay, now we know where our bread's getting butter. Let's just put old people in boxing gloves. And it's like, no, we're still doing it. We're still doing concerts.
Did they have concerts for that last fight? I don't remember seeing any.
They did.
They did. That's what Bobby told me.
Yeah,
and I have to go to him because I'm not paying for this stuff. I
absolutely for sure paid for it. Uh-oh. You guys still there?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, still here.
All right. Don't know what happened there. All right. Let's just talk about this card, huh? We might as well.
Big. It's massive.
Pretty stacked card.
Yeah, let me just read through the main event. Or the main card here. Alex Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. Tough coaches. I think this fight got delayed. Didn't Volkanovski get Rona? I feel that happened.
He might have.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And we saw Volkanovski actually when we were in Vegas. Mike and I did.
Bobby specifically stalked him.
That's definitely what happened. Yeah. You didn't fucking chase him all the way through that fucking casino, Mike.
I was not the one that chased him. I pointed out, hey, there's Volkanovski.
Oh, okay. That's what happened.
I have never seen the fast twitch muscles in Bobby's legs go so quickly.
Look, as a large man myself, and he's about as tall as me, I needed to know what diet he went on. Okay? Because this dude used to be beefy. That's the main event. Co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko versus poor Lauren Murphy. I might have tipped my hand on my pick here, but the fucking betting line, which one of you please get up, is absurd.
Got it.
Thanks, Mike.
The actual main event. They're going 5 rounds.
I don't know.
Are they doing this Diaz brother like the last one?
Is this 5 rounds or not? Does anybody know?
Is that a Diaz contract thing now? It's just Diaz brothers get 5 rounds? I honestly don't know. I haven't heard here or there. I would assume 3.
I think
they
3.
would have made a big stink about it if it was 5.
209 months after their first matchup, which is my favorite thing I read today. Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. The legend of this fight grew, something that Joe Rogan actually very much helped in this sport with doing. I know we're all shitting on Joe recently because he's a fucking idiot, but this was actually something good he did. Spreading the legend of Nick Diaz getting in the cage, screaming, Stockton, motherfucker, and Robbie Lawler looking confused about why he was so angry. And then Steve Mazzagatti kept telling Nick Diaz throughout the fight, no talking, which that's not a rule.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time we really saw him, use his words to beat his opponent. Like he was, it's become much more common now for guys to vocally kind of, taunt and berate their opponent. But that was kind of the first time anyone had ever like talked that much during a fight. And obviously Steve doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So he was like, please be quiet. This is against the rules. Only I talk.
209 months gives us what? 15, 17 years?
About that.
Are we at 17 years?
I was trying to do the math earlier. And
I think it's like 17 years. If you haven't seen this first fight, it's one of the best. I mean, I'm not sure one of the best fights in MMA history, but it's definitely one of the most. It's almost like it's just a legendary fight. This one, the first one, and
yeah, it was.
And Carlos seems, and Robbie seems excited for it, and Nick seems excited for it. So I don't think it's 5 rounds. It's probably for the best that it's not after 7 years or whatever since he fought.
I feel the same.
So, and then Curtis Razor Blades versus the Biggie Boy, Yair Rosenstruck. And then Jessica Andraj versus Cynthia Calvio at flyweight. That's the main card. Fucking bangers. On the undercard, we got Marlon Moraes taking on Marab. I always say this guy's name wrong. Dijvili or something. Dan Hooker.
Good enough for me.
Dan Hooker, who, if you guys have been paying attention, he had to get an emergency visa to make this happen. Apparently gets there Thursday, weighs in on Friday, fights on Saturday. He's coming from fucking New Zealand.
Yeesh.
Taking on Nasrat Harparas.
And poor Dan Hooker. So he got an emergency visa, is coming to the States, and then assuming he's going right back to New Zealand, he's quarantining for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Poor guy, man.
Dan Hooker is a goddamn legend if he pulls this off. I mean, I'm just saying, if he pulls this off. He had to go on Twitter and ask the ambassador and shit to get this happening. It was wild. Let's make some picks. Where are we with the standings right now, Mike, though?
Sure. So I am still in first place at 51-28. Bobby is in second at 49-30. And Mark is in third at 48-31.
Wait, how many wins did you have?
51-28.
So you're 2 games up on me. I'm 1 game up on Mark?
Yes.
Okay, and Stefan's out.
And Stefan is in fourth at 45-34. And this is the last week that his is, current.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
what are the betting odds?
so
for
he'll
this main
always
event?
be in fourth.
What's the betting? Sure, whatever you say. Betting odds for main event.
Betting odds, Volkowski is a -164 favorite to Ortega's plus 132. So essentially a toss-up.
This is via FanDuel, right?
This is via best fight odds.
Well,
FanDuel. Yeah, you're right.
Thank you. I don't have a reason for this beyond I have a feeling, just in my gut, and it's gone wrong many times. But I think Ortega's going to pull this off. I was less impressed with Alex in that rematch with Max. I don't feel when you're coming off of a win and there's an immediate rematch, I know it's not on you to make adjustments, but I felt Max made a lot of adjustments, and I think we all thought Max won, to be honest. I think it was 3-2 in favor of Max, we all thought. Mm-hmm. Alex got the win. I'm not sure it was a robbery necessarily, but Brian makes such big strides in every one of his fights, and he's bounced back so well from the beating Max gave him, that I think Ortega's going to get it done here. And I think Ortega's had long layoffs before, and he's always come back pretty good off the long layoffs. And I don't know, I can't really put exactly verbalize it necessarily, but I think we're going to get Brian Ortega as UFC champion at the end of the night. What do you think, Mike?
I think this one was a tough one to pick. If you want to play, I'm not even sure you can really play MMA math with this one. If you wanted to do it between the three of them that you mentioned, part of me wants to pick Volkanovski. However, to your credit, and this is the thing I was thinking about, Ortega, since that Max fight, he has looked better and better with each fight. And I think this will be a matter of just how much has he grown since the beating he took against Holloway. And, you know, what will he show us in this fight that we haven't seen since the last fight? And I'm also going to be banking on that we'll see a different type of Ortega in this fight, an improved one. You're muted, Bob.
Sorry. What do you think, Mark? New champion? You going to join us?
I'll be on the opposite end. I think you guys bring up good points, and it's actually what I was thinking too. I mean, it's hard not to kind of be on Ortega's side, especially after, like you mentioned, Bob, the vast jump in skill level that we saw from his loss to Max Holloway to his comeback fight against Korean Zombie, where it looked like he didn't just like pick up striking; he became insanely proficient at it. And relatively, I think it was a couple year layoff. It was a decent amount of layoff. He had time to work, but that's what was impressing. He had a lot of time to go back to the gym and really not to sharpen tools, but put more stuff in there, get a lot better at striking, and just seeing him just completely outstrike, completely own the Korean Zombie on the feet, which leading up to that fight seemed like that was going to be Zombie's best avenue to win. I think had to have turned a lot of heads. And when you just look at just pure skill set of both these guys, Ortega has always been known as this insanely proficient submission grappling savant, able to pull off submissions from the clinch, not even off the ground. So it definitely seems like there's going to be places where if the fight ends up on the ground, if Ortega's on top, Alexander's going to be in a lot of trouble. On the feet, it's going to be really interesting. I'm going to go with Alexander. Just one to kind of mix it up. And it's not even a pick I'm super excited about or confident in, because Alexander's done good work in the cage. He's earned his spot at the top. He beat Max Holloway, but the wins just, I don't know. They never impressed me so much. I felt like he's kind of a point fighter. I don't see him going for the kill enough. I see him kind of looking at every striking exchange as a little game in and of itself. I want to get in first. I want to get the cleanest shot in and get out without getting hit. And that kind of strategy, while personally I'm not a huge fan of it, I like guys that go for the finish, that are looking to damage, aren't just looking to score cleanly and get out. It's a sound strategy, and it's a strategy that a lot of fighters utilize, especially when they become champion, to retain the belt. You can look at an Anderson Silva or even a GSP. They're going to do the things they need to survive, to win rounds and get decisions. And I kind of think that's where Alexander is going to be in. Look, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to see Alexander go out there and drop Ortega, go out there and take him to the ground and pound him out, or get a submission on him.
I think we've learned that Ortega's fucking chin is absurd. And if Volkanovski by submission better be plus like 1 million.
Yeah,
can we find that? Let me see if I can find the odds.
That seems insane. So I'm going with Alexander. It's not a super confident pick, but I do feel like in individual exchanges, he's going to probably have a more varied entry and exit to get in and out without taking a lot of damage. But like you guys mentioned, I've also been so impressed with Ortega. That jump from the Holloway to Korean Zombie fight was fantastic, and now it's been another long layoff. And a lot of times you think like these guys' skills get rusty. Ortega has proven that it's the opposite. So it's going to be really intriguing to see if he comes out. Even what I would really love to see, like the biggest goal, the highest bar I would love to see Ortega is to see his wrestling match his jiu-jitsu game and his striking. Dude can actively take guys down. If he's just drilled on double legs, chaining takedown attempts, getting in the clinch, and if he really worked that, he's an all-around threat. Could easily, I mean, if he puts that in his tool set and can strike as good as we saw him with Korean Zombie, can sub guys like we've seen in the past, but also wrestle them, out-muscle them in the clinch, get them to the ground, he'd be practically unstoppable on paper. So I'd love to see that. I don't think we will. I think we're going to see Alexander play the point game, play the distance game, measure when he's getting in and out, and get the rounds and win. I'm going to say a very close decision at the end of the day.
I see Volkanovski plus 1,200 to win by submission. It's worth mentioning that I'm pretty sure, Valentina is minus 1,300 to win her fight in the next one. So that's the type of odds we're talking about here.
Right.
Anyway, so 2-1 in favor of T-City, which either stands for Torrance or Triangle. Both accurate with the way this man fights.
Sure.
And UFC needs themselves a real heartthrob champion. The ladies need something since GSP's gone. Let's give him that in Brian Ortega.
All right, Bobby.
Dude, Brian Ortega.
I
saw Brian Ortega in person. He's one of the most handsome people I've seen in real life. Good Lord. The man looks very
I think
sharp.
he looks better with the hair than the shaved head, but that's just my personal taste.
Is he shaved right now?
He was for the Korean zombie fight. That's all I saw. I was a little thrown. I was like, all right. Don't dig that as much, but you do you. I'm not,
Co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko is an absurd favorite over Lauren Murphy. You're going to get a lot less analysis from us on these next few fights, folks. I just don't know how she wins this. Valentina, I know I'm a homer for her, but she's minus 1,300. She's better everywhere. She is yet to show. The only flaw we see in Valentina's game sometimes is that, and it only came up when she fought Amanda. We're like, oh, she should be more aggressive. But I think she's finishing everybody these days, Mark. The only one she hasn't finished was Liz, and Liz doesn't get finished.
Yeah, I didn't pull up the record because it's not. I don't feel super relevant in this fight to kind of look past in the past. I mean, you say you don't know how she loses. I know how she loses. Lauren Murphy does what Lauren Murphy does. If you're going to say there's a weakness of Valentina, you can easily say her bottom game is not super great. When she fucked up the takedown and Maya got on top of her, there wasn't a ton on the bottom. She didn't really need to. She knew the rest of the rounds were going to be hers, so you didn't see a lot of scrambles.
I mean, she got
submission attempts.
She got the sub off her back on who's the person fighting Amanda? Pena. I remember she took an armbar off of Pena off her back.
Okay.
Which she's no slouch on top either, Pena. Pena's a pretty aggressive top control game. Look, I love Lauren Murphy and how outspoken she is, and she's a grinder, but she needs to do that for 25 minutes. That's a tall order, Marcus. I'm picking Valentina if it's not clear, and I'm sure you are too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I see the avenue Lauren needs to take to win this fight, and I feel like that avenue is her strength. She is a grinder. She the things that you mentioned that she needs to do to beat Valentina is kind of how she wins most of her fights. The stand-up's not going to be her friend. She's going to need to negate the distance very well. She's going to need to crowd Valentina when she can. She doesn't want to play the outside game and let Valentina dictate when she's going to come in and strike, give her the room to do some of those like spinning back kicks. She's going to need to crowd her. She's going to need to bully her. She's going to need to get her up against the cage, drag her ass to the ground, and keep her there for multiple rounds, which is going to be a Herculean task on her end, and that's why the odds are so little in her favor. Valentina has shown that she's really good at managing the distance. She's really good using her footwork to not get trapped against the cage. She's really good at mixing up strikes, so the opponents don't really know how she's going to enter. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of things Lauren's just going to have to push through, is just going to have to muscle her way through. She's going to eat shots coming in, and that's what she needs to do. And like you said, Bob, she's going to have to do it for 5 rounds. It's going to be hard to think she's going to be able to maintain that pressure, maintain her livelihood when she's coming in and probably eating jabs and kicks and punches on the way in to get some of these clinch takedowns. The amount of stamina it's going to take for her to muscle Valentina down, these are all really tough question marks Lauren's going to have to fight through to even make this fight competitive, which I think maybe a round or two she'll be able to have the stamina, momentum, mentality. She's a very mentally strong fighter from what I've seen, to do some of those things, but it's hard to think she's going to be able to withstand that type of pressure for 5 rounds and keep putting it on Valentina. We haven't seen anyone else really do it. It would be probably Bobby from just the line, like the biggest upset. Lauren Murphy has earned her way here, but she's always been someone that hasn't really, I don't think a lot of us were thinking title contender for a while. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an uphill battle for her. But that is kind of her style. The way she has to win this fight, the weaknesses of Valentina are kind of her strength, but Valentina's weaknesses have not shown to be that, vulnerable or for people to exploit them that easily. So yeah, I got Valentina. Best of Lauren, give it a good shot, see what you got, but it's going to be tough.
Mike.
I've got Valentina as well, but if I may stress to all of you out there, the value and the significance of a flyer at negative 1,300 underdog, that's when you just put a little $10 on Lauren Murphy. You won't miss $10, but you may get a nice little return back if for some reason she wins.
Mike giving sound investment advice right there, folks. Yeah, clean sweep for Ms. Shevchenko. Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler. How do we can't provide analysis here. It's not possible.
No analysis is needed. This might be one of the last times we can do this, guys. It's all emotion on this pick. All right. I'm not gonna tell you about the technical side of this particular.
I mean, it's also
fight.
basically a pick'em betting wise. I think they're both around minus 115, 110, right? Something like that.
Yeah. Sorry, not having Steph here, it's gonna be an adjustment. I didn't realize you were talking to me.
I got it. Minus 104 Nick.
Yeah,
minus 104 Nick Diaz, minus 118 Robbie Lawler. It's impossible to have analysis of this. Robbie is fighting infrequently. Nick hasn't fought in 7 fucking years. I'm not picking against Nick Diaz here. I'm not. It's just I'm too excited for him to be back. I'm really set. I mean, I could set myself up for some misery here, but I'm excited to have him back, and that's it. And he's a legend.
Yep.
And it's hard. He has like 10 losses, I'm sure, at least. He's got. I mean, Robbie's a legend too. People look at these guys and think how are you guys legends, Marcus, with guys with records with like 10, 12, 13 losses. Right. I think they both have.
Sure.
Because more than anything else, when this sport was first coming up, it wasn't about money because there was no money to make. It was who went out there and just put it on the line. And you got 2 guys who put it on the line every single time. And I'm happy Nick's back. This is at 170, which I wouldn't have been surprised if he went up to 185, to be honest. Especially I think Robbie would have been fine with it too. But Nick stays in shape. I don't think Robbie's ever missed weight, honestly. At least not UFC Robbie. Maybe Strikeforce sleeping at press conference Robbie. But I got Nick Nick winning this fight. Maybe he finishes it, maybe he doesn't. But I got Nick winning this fight. Mike, you got Nick also?
Yeah, I've got Nick as well. This might be... I thought for sure I was never going to see Nick Diaz fight again. So this is a really big treat that we're going to be able to see him again. The one time I picked against the Diaz brother, I lost $5,000 in the process, and I learned never to do that again.
You didn't lose $5,000. You blew a win at $5,000. You didn't go negative $5,000.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah.
There's a difference there.
True, that is true.
Yeah, Marcus, I'm gonna be disappointed when Nick gets cut real early because I'm gonna be like, Nick, you had 7 fucking years to get the surgery to clean up your brow and shit. But yeah, what do you think in this one?
I'm also going to go with Nick, but it is, I mean, there's some caveats. I mean, you do look at what Robbie has done recently, and he's on a really bad skid. It's 4 losses in a row. Now, these are what I feel is like some of the top guys. Maybe Ben Askren being a weird hiccup in there because he was doing extremely well in that fight, and then the end was somewhat controversial. Was he really out? Was he not? The debate continues. Nick hasn't fought since 2015, so it's been a good 6 years. That's a long time. And to be honest, his last couple outings did not, compel a lot of confidence in what he's able to do. The fight against GSP was a bad stylistic matchup. And then him and Anderson left a lot to be desired because, there was a lot of Nick trying to bait him. I mean, which is all good and fun at the end of the day. He's doing the lay down and paint me like your French girls kind of stuff. But like at the end of the day, it's like, I really want to see him fight. And the Diaz brothers are at their best when they're being combative, when they're throwing a lot of hands, when they're not outputting, they're losing fights. And with Robbie, that's dangerous. I right before this podcast, the UFC put out a little highlight clip of, all of, the best moments from Lawler's career. And it's extensive. This guy's been here for a long time. And we definitely, himself included, I think started sleeping on him during some of his Strikeforce run where it seemed uninspired in some of his fights.
I mean,
But when
Marcus,
he
he
went-
was literally sleeping, so well done. I was
That's
like,
true.
he
That's true. At a
fell,
press
man
conference.
fell asleep at a press conference.
He was sleeping. But it was interesting to see that vigor relight in him when he came back to the UFC and captured the belt and held the belt. And, like you said, Bobby, well, maybe some of the newer fans don't know, like, some of the great performances these guys put on. They should know Robbie, because it wasn't that long ago that he was an unlikely contender to get that belt and then to hold it and defend it, and really kind of made us all rethink, like, okay, this guy's got miles left on the card, because like we thought he was done. We thought he was going to go in the UFC, maybe have a good showing here, maybe get a decent win, and then right out into the sunset. But he proved us all wrong. And the Roy McDonald fight, guy loves to be in a scrap. He doesn't mind getting hit. He doesn't mind getting bloodied. These things don't deter him, much like Nick. So I mean, I think at the end of the day, I hope these guys put on the performance that we know they're both capable of. We know both these guys can scrap. We know both these guys don't care about a little cut or blood. And hopefully we get a satisfying conclusion, whether it is a judge's call. I would hate to see this fight stopped via cut, which I think is a likely scenario with the Diaz brothers, with specifically Nate, how much scar tissue he has, how easy he is to open up. So we'll see.
They both need to get that Vanderlei surgery where they like shave down your shit.
They shave, yeah.
Nate needs Nate's fucking still active enough that Nick had 7 years, and it doesn't look like he did it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know. End of the day, like, I just hope this fight, lives up to what I think we all know these guys are capable of, and it doesn't end in some kind of wishy-washy, weird scenario. Hope
where is this happening?
Nice clean ending.
Where's this card?
It's in Vegas. T-Mobile.
Okay, so we're not going to get some New York commission bullshit.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't get stopped too early. These guys are going to bleed. It's going to happen. This is part of the fun of the fight. But yeah, like Mike said, this could easily be the last time we see Nick. So hopefully, he gets to put on a performance we know he's capable of. Because when the guy's on, not only does he win, he just looks fantastic. It's a fun fight to watch. I just hope he's not hesitant on the trigger. He's able to let his hands go. Robbie's going to. So hopefully it's fun. And I got Nick.
All right. Next fight, Curtis Blades, the Biggie boy. Curtis Blades a big favorite. Minus 350 to Biggie boys plus 265. Look, what we're all betting on here, what we're all picking here is whether we think the Biggie boy is going to catch him with something before he gets grinded into dust over 15 minutes, right? I think he's getting grinded into dust. I got Curtis Blades winning. Though I think we're getting close to Biggie. I mean, Biggie boy getting anywhere near a title shot? I know he got murdered by the champion, but he's got some wins going, I think. I still don't think he's going to get it done here. Mike, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think it will be very similar to the Clip's most famous single, A Lot of Grinding.
Marcus?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, obviously, Curtis Blades' path to victory is to wrestle this man, grab him to the ground, make him. And what I was interested in is seeing if Biggie Boy has fought in anyone the caliber of wrestler that Curtis Blades in, and no one on his resume that I'm with. Right, there's a lot of fighters I don't know, but I can't imagine they're as good as wrestling as Curtis Blades is. So Curtis really just has to be wary of his entries, making sure that he gets clean clinches in, or when he shoots, it's clean and it's set up properly instead of just doing a blind, shot from far away, because that could reap trouble. But outside of that, I think if Blades gets him down in the first round, we're going to have it's going to be smooth sailing for him from there. I think he's going to be able to gas Biggie Boy, and the rest of the takedowns should be easier. A lot of the strength and danger that Biggie Boy presents, with his heavy hands, with his kickboxing background, should slowly start to negate as, Curtis is able to grind him out. So we'll see.
All right. And finally, Cynthia Calvio versus Jessica Andraj. Jessica Andraj, pretty decent sized favorite, if I'm not mistaken, Mike.
Yes. She is a negative 280 favorite.
Calvio probably gets a title shot if she wins. She's ranked number 4, I believe.
How many has she won in a row? Wow.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If she doesn't win, probably this Talia Santos Roxanne Modafferi fight, the winner comes out of that as a title contender. It's supposed to be Tatiana Suarez in that other fight. Tatiana tore her knee apart. So here we are. I don't think Calvio. I'm kind of off the train here. And Jessica Andraj seems too small for this weight class. But this is also a weight class Calvio had to be pushed into because she kept missing weight. Yeah, I'm gonna take Andraj. She finishes girls. And Calvio seems very... We're all kind of riding the high of her first couple wins, I think, still. Mark?
Yeah, I'm on the same side here. I think Jessica has proven that even though she is a little smaller for the weight class, she still packs a lot of power. She's very explosive. I think Cynthia obviously does her best when she's going to be able to utilize her grappling. And it'll be interesting to see if she can do that. I'm hedging my bets that she's not. I think Jessica's just going to be too rough and tumble. She's going to catch her with something coming in, or off an exchange off of a clinch or something. You know, she'll be able to find a home for strike to put Cynthia maybe not even away, but enough to make her a lot hesitant on what she's going to do. So yeah, I got Jessica on this one. You're muted, Bob. I'm guessing it's going to Mike.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I believe that's going to be the case as well. Calvio lost her last fight, so I mean, granted, division is pretty thin, but I still can't imagine she would get a title shot off of this. But I have Jessica in this one as well. Calvio hasn't really been what we thought she was going to be. I think when she first came up, Jessica Andraj amazingly is still only 29, considering that she's been UFC champion already, and it's been a while since she's even been champ. So you would almost think it's as if she's almost over the hill, but conceivably she's just hitting her prime now. So it's possible she has a second run in her. So she carries a lot of power. That's still the case for 125, and honestly, she's fighting someone who's undersized for the division. So going with Josh.
Right on, clean sweep there. One last thing, because there was articles about Jessica Andraj. She has an OnlyFans, and her pictures getting leaked out because by people.
That's just fucked. That's
okay,
just wrong,
yeah,
man.
I just want to say, if you're out there and you want to, I mean, just fucking pay for it, man. She's out there trying to supplement her shitty UFC income. How much is OnlyFans for somebody? $10, $15, $20? No, ante up, man. I'm just saying. Like, don't be a piece of shit about this.
If you want to see your favorite fighters bits or whatever, pay the $20 a month.
Yeah, come on. If you're an adult, especially. I'm not excusing. Actually, if you're not an adult, you definitely shouldn't be looking at this stuff. But like, come on, man, you got a job, you got an income, allocate some money for this thing. Anyway, that's it. Pretty good card overall. Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler, though, probably the real main event for a lot of us. And I look forward to hearing all these people in Vegas going nuts for Nick. And nobody dislikes Robbie Lawler either. This should be fun. I'm very excited for that. In order of excitement, that's the main excitement for me, is that fight, followed by the main event. Because I think the main event is going to be... I think it's hard for Brian Ortega to have boring fights, Marcus. Just the nature of his style. Even if he's losing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Nick should be definitely bringing in more eyeballs, but the main event should and probably will deliver on its own front, which is fantastic. So I do think the Valentina fight, we've seen Valentina sometimes when she gets in a rhythm, if she's just beating Lauren Murphy on the feet, she's just going to keep picking away at her. But I don't think Brian Ortega is going to allow Alexander to have an easy fight.
I was thinking maybe I was hoping this fight would be in Texas, so they would let any cut just keep going. But I think if it was in Texas, 25 minutes of Valentina beating up Lauren Murphy could get uncomfortable. That'd be a long fight. But we'll see. All right, let's do stuff we like. I got a bunch of random wrestling. I'm going to go last because it's extensive. Mike, let's lead off with you.
All right. I started watching this show called Sex Education on Netflix. It's a British show on this high school kid who has, I guess, an awkward relationship when it comes to sex and his mother, because his mother is a well-renowned sex therapist. And the premise of the show is I guess I'm only on the second episode, so I'm assuming some when it comes to the rest of the season. But
wait, your second episode of this season or second episode overall you're on?
Overall.
Okay, all right. Because it's a new season. That's, I'm assuming, why you ended up seeing it in your Netflix thing, right?
Yeah, it looks like there's 3 seasons of it. So I guess the third season premiered.
Yeah, I think I saw an article about it, the third season dropping. But sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, so it looks like the premise of the show is that the son, he starts to, I guess, be like a little mini sex therapist for the kids in his school. And so far in the 2 episodes I've watched, it's a very well written show. The mother is played by Gillian Anderson. For those of you who don't know who that is Agent Scully from The X-Files. You're muted, Bob.
I hit the damn button, too. Miss Gillian Anderson?
Miss Gillian Anderson.
So, 2 episodes in. Good so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm using it in the stuff we like, so, you know, I enjoy it some.
I mean, you like an episode and a half so far, right?
Yeah, you know?
Marcus, what do you got this week?
Yeah, not a ton. I guess new game coming out this week I've had my eye on, and it is actually coming out on PS4, though I'm still going to wait for reviews. They actually showed this game at a PS5 showcase, and it looks visually stunning, and I'm kind of, my hesitation is just like, how well is it going to run on the PlayStation 4, because it very much looks like a next-gen game. This is Kena Bridge of Spirits. When it came out, I think it gets a lot the biggest comparison is like it looks like a Pixar film as a video game. It's, you know, very colorful, very just great character models, facial animation, visual effects. I mean, everything about it and the look of it just seems like, oh, this is next gen. This is something that only the PS5 could run. So it is coming on PS4, and I'm very interested to see how that stacks. If it runs okay, I'm probably will end up getting it because it does look very charming and cute. I did want to spot a light on a game that came out last week called Deathloop. This is one of Sony's big exclusive games for the PS5. This was actually done by Arcane Studios, which is part of Bethesda, which recently got picked up from Microsoft, which is interesting. There's now been 2 games that came out on the PlayStation platform that are owned by Microsoft Studios. And they've shown that one for quite a bit. It looked like a very stylish first-person shooter. And its whole gimmick is that you're basically kind of doing a Groundhog Day kind of deal where every time you die, you restart the same day over and over again. And, you know, the main plot point of the game is to kill like these 8 visionary people or these 8 targets in this island. What kind of made me give it more of a look, outside of just phenomenal reviews. I mean, a lot of outlets gave this 10 out of 10. Masterpiece, I think IGN gave it a 10. EGM gave it a 5 out of 5. A lot of the high-profile reviewing sites gave this one high praise. But it wasn't until I saw a video kind of explaining how the game helps you track what you've learned and what you need to learn to go forward. It kind of has like this splitting timeline graph where it shows you, okay, in this area at this time, these are the things you learned about the people that are there. This is what you need to learn next. And if you want to, you can trigger that on the map. So it's like, okay. And having that kind of straightforwardness in kind of a roguelike game like this is really intriguing, because a lot of times these games can feel completely overwhelming, and it's hard to keep track of the knowledge that you've gained and what you've learned throughout your many playthroughs, especially if you end up dropping this game for a while and coming back. Having those kind of feature sets in there were kind of very straightforwardly explains to you, this is what you know, this is the next step you need to learn more. I thought was really smart, and I could see now, knowing that, why it has reviewed so well. So if you got a PS5 and you like first person, you know, shooters, kind of like tactical shooters, I definitely think you should check out Deathloop. Outside of that, I have been playing Psychonauts 2.
Is that a full price game?
That's the other game that
is that
which one, Deathloop?
Deathloop, yeah.
Interesting enough, Steph got it. It would have. I don't think he's actually started playing it yet, from what he told me. But he told me it was only $60, which I was kind of shocked. I thought it would be a $70 game, since a lot of the next gen games, and that game is only on PS5 and PC. And maybe it's because it's on PC where it's only $60, and
yeah, I was gonna say when you said it,
70.
You said it was PS5 specifically. I was gonna be like, oh, okay, I thought maybe you bought the wrong one. But if it's PS5 specifically. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only console. I mean, it's probably a time exclusive, so probably within a year time it'll come out to Xbox Series X or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, that one kind of caught me off guard. Playing Psychonauts 2, I haven't made a ton of headway in there, but I have really enjoyed the time I've been putting into it. Very charming, very cute, fun platformer. And I'm seeing now where some of the reviewers, like, the platforming can be a little tough. I've already hit some sections that have been kind of tough just to make sure, like, oh, did I overshoot that jump and did I not time it right? What exactly did I mess up? Which can be a little frustrating, but overall, and honestly, the only frustrating part about it is when I jumped back into it and I was having a little trouble in one of the combat scenarios. When you end up dying, you have to reload the stage, and I can't wait to get a PS5 now because, like, these load screens are killing me, and to know that's basically a non-issue with the new systems is really intriguing. The last thing I wanted to mention, Bob mentioned this. I've also, the scuttlebutt around, the internet and whatever have you. I've heard about this show, Only Murders in the Building. It's a Hulu exclusive starring Steve Martin Shore, and Selena Gomez. It looked intriguing enough. We were kind of just looking for something to watch and gave it a shot. And like I was telling the guys before the show, I never really been a huge Martin Shore fan. I think like Primetime Glick was kind of like the most I've seen him do anything, and that show was kind of hit or miss. He had some segments on that show that were generally funny, and I had a good chuckle, but a lot of it was kind of cringy.
You didn't like him on Mulaney's shitty show?
I don't even think he was supposed to be the big star in that. I mean, that show was so bad. I can't make heads or tails of whose fault that was. But yeah, it definitely the cast itself wasn't. I think for a lot of people, it will be, Steve Martin and Martin Short in a series again. I think will be more than enough for a lot of people to give the show at least a shot. The premise is kind of interesting. It's about these three different characters that don't really know each other, kind of forming a bond over a what's called a suicide within the building. And I think what has also made the show intriguing is that there's more to these characters that they're slowly unraveling throughout the series. What they kind of tell you up front isn't necessarily the whole truth. So delving into that stuff has been intriguing. And I would just say on the whole, like, the show's on every aspect that you look for a television show, it's well done. The writing's good. The acting's obviously good. We have a lot of veteran actors here. Selena Gomez, I think, does a really good job. She's a lot more dry and curt than the other two characters, which are a little bit more boisterous and a little bit more animated. And then, I mean, just stuff like cinematography, shot selection, the different pans they do. There's a lot of times they kind of do interesting camera work when they really don't need to. It's just two people talking in a bedroom, but they'll pan around the room a little bit just to make it interesting, just to make the shot more appealing. So it's kind of hitting on all gears. Again, this is one of those streaming shows that is doing a weekly release. So, it might have been, I'm starting to yearn for those shows that just dump everything on day one, because while I understand you want to have the anticipation, you want to have the fervor of the audience talking about you for a month and a half while you slowly dole out the episodes, it is kind of annoying just to have to wait to see what's going to happen next, especially now that, we saw the first 3 episodes and now we're going to be on a weekly basis. But it is going to be a show that we continue to check out, so I definitely have been enjoying it. And I would recommend, if any of that stuff appeals to you, I would say at least give it a shot. I think they're like 40-minute episodes, and with Hulu, with the ads, that can end up to be closer to an hour, but I think it's worth the investment just to give it a shot and see if it's up your alley or not. And it very easily could not, but I've been enjoying it.
I gotta say, I enjoy the weekly format. I don't need to kill a weekend because the whole new season just dropped, and now I gotta spend the next 13 hours watching like all the episodes of Cobra Kai. Like, that's too much.
Yeah. It's a dual edge, right? Because on the one hand, when you don't have the choice,
I strongly disagree. Sorry.
Yeah, because with Mike, like I think a lot of people fall into the same thing that you have. Is like, it comes out, you watch an episode, you like it, and now it's like you end up binging it, and the show stays with you for a less amount of time. You kind of consume it and discard it very quickly. And obviously with these shows, every week you're kind of, I mean, it's nice to have something to look forward to, right? It's like, okay, that I think new episodes come out on Tuesday, so it's a Tuesday show. We have shows that come out on Monday. What if it's on Wednesday? It's nice to have something to look forward to. Ted Lasso's on Friday, so I do kind of like that structure, but sometimes it is just like, I think when the show's really good, like a Ted Lasso, it's like, give me one more, just one more. Yeah, but
I just want the choice because I can decide then when I want to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who does the weekly on their own, right? It's
not weekly, but maybe I watch a couple episodes here. I watch a couple episodes there.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus, you got anything else, brother?
That's what I got. Nope, that's it. We're done. I'm done.
Okay, I'm going to save my discussion about why The Last Man until next week because I watched all 3 episodes of that, and I'm hoping somebody else does too. Stefan did, but he's on this goddamn podcast necessarily.
I'm intrigued. I might give it a shot.
You never read the book either, right?
Nope.
Mike, did you ever read the book?
No.
Okay, I'm curious about you guys because I've read the books. So, it's on Hulu. So if you want to watch that, guys, before we have this conversation next week, check out Why the Last Man on Hulu. All right, the wrestling news. Mike, this is, we say this a lot, but this is a huge week for AEW in terms of this card, this 2-night card they're putting on.
Yeah.
Grand Slam. Coming from Flushing at Arthur Ashe Stadium, AEW is running New York for the first time ever, and they essentially have created a pay-per-view over 2 nights. All of it taped Wednesday night, but this is the card as I currently understand it to be. Oh great, I fucking lost it. We got Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson on Wednesday night. AEW is not even fucking around, folks. They've had Danielson for 2 weeks, and they know why he's here. We want to see Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. It's what we fucking signed up for. His first match outside of WWE in long time. 10, 12 years probably. We got Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black. I'm a big Malachi Black fan. I'm digging all of this, and I hope he wins. But it's... People love Cody, man. I know the internet gives him shit, but people went nuts when he came out the other night. When Rosario Dawson jumped on this dude's back. It's hilarious. Got a lot of... what's the name of her character from Star Wars?
Ashoka.
Ashoka. A lot of Ashoka is all elite tweets I saw. It made me laugh. Brian Pillman Jr., who all of a sudden, Mike, I've learned that the kid can talk. And got good. It actually got me interested. Brian Pillman Jr. taking on the Pride of Plainview, Long Island, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho. That they managed to sell us on a feud in one promo or one segment there.
That was a good fucking promo. Like I missed it live on Friday. But man, I watched it like on Saturday or Sunday. Ooh, it was good.
Yeah, you're realizing how WWE fucked this up with her is impressive. She literally has every tool you could ever ask for in Ruby Soho there. So, good job, them. FTR versus Sting and Darby Allin. My favorite part of this whole thing is that FTR said that after they beat Sting isn't allowed to use his so what Sting calls the Scorpion Deathlock, what Bret Hart calls the Sharpshooter. FTR loves Bret Hart. They say after they beat Sting, he shouldn't be able to use that move anymore. That's their condition.
How do you feel about like 63-year-old? Sting's like what 60-something, 61, 62. How do you feel about Sting taking that bump last Friday? That fucking what is it? Just a pile driver essentially.
Yeah, honestly, they're using... I'm incredibly impressed with how they're using Sting. Because they are threading a needle here, Mike. With, like, making him look good, but not making him look too good at the look of the other talent. And him taking that bump was absurd. He took a powerbomb on the stage a couple months ago, too. So I don't know what Sting took to fix his neck and back after 30 years of fucking wrestling. But more than 30 years, actually. I think he's been doing this since the mid-'80s, I think. So, don't know how. That's night one. Second night, our guy Will Hobbs. I say our guy because he's from the town. You know, he's taking care of town business. Taking on CM Punk. I'm very excited for this one. I like Will Hobbs getting that rub. Eddie Kingston and John Moxley taking on Suzuki-gun and Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer. They're just going to fight all over that building. That's what's going to happen.
I appreciate that they turned, what was it, that just literal, just innocent mistake into like an actual thing, the Suzuki incident.
Yeah, it became a meme and they made a thing out of it. Lucha Brothers, Santana and Ortiz against Private Party, The Butcher, and The Blade. Realistically, Mike, I think that arena is going to lose their fucking mind for Santana and Ortiz. I think they're going to lose their goddamn minds. I think Eddie Kingston's going to get a big cheer, but I think they're going to lose their mind for Santana and Ortiz. Because
if it was real, if that building was filled with real people from Queens, man, they'd be like, nah, fuck these people from the Bronx.
there's going to be so many Puerto Ricans there, man. I'm telling you, that's going to be that show. Anna Jay, Penelope Ford, Mike's favorite wrestler right there, Penelope Ford. And then the one everybody's very excited for here, Jurassic Express and Christian taking on Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, a.k.a. the Super Click. Mike, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Good, Bobby.
This is an absurd card, top to bottom. I am very excited to watch both nights of it. So that's really all we can say. And they have 18,000 people there. It's the biggest show they've ever done. Stadium. I don't know if the roof going to be on. What's the weather like over there these days, Mike?
It's pretty nice. I think it'll be a good weather, even at night, to have the roof open.
Right on. So that's a big thing. Another thing worth mentioning is that this week, one of our favorites, and Mark included, one of his favorites, our guy Big E. This happened during the podcast last week. Big E is the WWE champion. And you can really tell when somebody's popular among the actual wrestlers when something like this happens, because on Twitter, from every promotion, people were going nuts for Big E. Will Hobbs was on there. Half of AEW was on there. NWA, TNA, all these guys were on there praising Big E by being such a good dude. And he even got the line in, Mark, earlier in the show where he said it's going to be some big meaty men slapping meat.
He knows how to sell himself.
He knows what he's doing. I recommend everybody, if they can, listen to the New Day podcast last week. I think I talked about it, about mental health they talked about, and it was really interesting. And Big E talking about his own struggles, and later that evening winning the World Championship. Well, I'm not sure they did that on purpose, because I don't think WWE plans anything in advance. And I thought that was just a nice dichotomy there. And finally, Mike, the return of your and my favorite depressing documentary series.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Ring. Dark Side of the Ring is back. The first episode was about the plane ride from hell. We learned some bad... We didn't learn. We confirmed some bad stuff about Ric Flair. Not a great look for him. Not a great look for Dustin Runnels. Really bad look for Tommy Dreamer. We learned a story...
Bad look for Tommy Dreamer, not even during the events of the plane ride, just his caveman stupidity attitude in the present day.
Yeah, Marcus, I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but basically they're telling the story of a 2003 plane ride with all the WWE talent flying back from Europe that had a 7-hour delay on the ground, and so it took them 14 hours to get there. They went through 3 or 4 liquor carts. Everybody was hammered. Ric Flair was naked in his robe, basically trying to grabbing a flight attendant's hand to put it on his dick. Dustin Runnels was hammered, Goldust, on the microphone singing to his ex-wife, Terry. Remember her? X-Pac cut off Michael Hayes' ponytail.
Okay, of all the things you said,
Yeah.
this is a less...
Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig. Was it
Mr. Perfect?
Mr. Perfect had a handful of shaving cream, was it? And he smacked Brock Lesnar on top of the head with it. Brock Lesnar chased him down the airplane. They got into a wrestling match. Brock Lesnar almost tackled him through the emergency exit. They ripped out parts of the seat. It was a bad look. And then Tommy Dreamer was on there excusing Ric Flair's behavior, which Tommy Dreamer took 25 years of a good reputation and ruined it in one documentary. Ric Flair's denying all this. But anyway, that was this week. This week's episode is about Chris Kanyon, very underrated wrestler. And this week, The Undertaker is going to get roasted, and so is WWE. because I was waiting for this episode because he was gay. Remember Canyon, Marcus?
Yeah, it was WCW, right?
Yeah, Canyon was gay, and kind of in the closet. People seem to know. WWE had a segment where they had him come out of a box, so come out of a closet, dressed as Boy George, singing "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?" And the Undertaker hit him with the stiffest chair shot probably ever, and knocked him out cold.
Even stiffer than the Maven chair shot?
That was pretty bad too. Undertaker really dished out some really brutal headshots back in the day with chairs. Other episodes this second half of this season are going to be about FMW, which was famous for the exploding ring matches in Japan. Mark and I used to get videotapes of those. They weren't good matches. Shit just blew up at some point. Another one about Luna Vachon there's going to be. And then finally, they're going to do an episode about the steroid trial, which I've been waiting for this episode for the entire existence of this show.
The steroid trial? What's that?
Where Vince McMahon got tried by the government for distributing steroids to his wrestlers. And,
wow.
And yeah, it got real dicey at the end there. Anyway, a lot of wrestling talk, as there always is this with me on this podcast, but I'm excited for AEW and Dark Side of the Ring really just confirming that this generation of wrestlers with their video games and all that stuff, really better than what we had back in the day. Really a better look.
Better distraction than drugs.
Yeah, when Undertaker was talking about how these wrestlers are soft and, used to go drinking every night at the hotel. And anyway, much better look to, see Adam Cole on Twitch.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So next week we'll be back, though. The UFC, we're going to see if we have new champions in either weight class, either the men's featherweight division or the women's flyweight division. There is a card next weekend. Johnny Walker versus Thiago Santos headlining. Kevin Holland on the card against a nobody. Nico Price versus Alex Oliveira. Misha Serkinov. This is better names than most of their cards these days. Aspen Ladd's on there. Antonia Shevchenko. Betch Kohea still in the UFC. Jesus Christ. Misha Serkinov is listed on this card twice. So he might be fighting two people.
Yeah,
you never know.
Double duty.
Full and duty. That was it for this week, though. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. I know we missed some episodes earlier this month. Going to try to avoid that. See if we can go the rest of the year without missing one.
Sure.
We'll do our best at least. But I was Dr. Law. That was DJ Mark. And that was Lavender Gooms. Thank you all so much for listening. See y'all next week. Peace out.
See ya.
Goodbye.